Welcome back to the Lords of Lore podcast. I'm Matt,
I'm Will.
I'm Taleb.
and we are here to talk about the bottom three episodes, or I guess the last three episodes of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus and so forth. Okay, so we already talked about the first three episodes of this series. We had, I would say, a little bit mixed reactions to the show, but I think overall we were all a little bit disappointed. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Statements, but yeah.
I think like on average it was disappointment. Maybe some of us more than others. So just really quick, let me get you guys' just baseline thoughts. Were you disappointed by the episodes 4, 5, and 6 of this series? We'll start with you, Will.
I think disappointment would be too weak of a word, but
Oh no. Okay, and what about you, Taleb?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I also feel a similar way.
I mean, I don't want to feel that way.
No, not at all.
They push me, man.
They push me to the edge, man. I'm not a hater, but don't push me. I really wanted it to pick up, and I feel like it did. Don't get me wrong. I feel like the last three episodes were like far and away superior to the first three, but
Really?
I still didn't enjoy them beyond the fact that it was like, oh, here's some live action Star Wars. That's about it. I'd put episode 6 probably my favorite episode of the series, and this is going to be what I'm leading with for the rest of these reviews. I feel like somebody wrote episode 6 of this series first and was like, how do I make it make sense? Like, someone saw a fan film of like Obi-Wan, like the Jamie Costa fan film, and was like, okay, how do we make that the finale of a Disney Plus series? And nothing else. But I don't know. It was just a mess. There's so many things that were like just ripped from other things in Star Wars. It's not even fan service. It's just like, oh, take that thing. People seem to like that and put it here. Oh, okay. So let's get into it. Let's start with episode 4. Obi-Wan needs to go to, what is it called? Fortress Inquisitorus or something.
Yeah.
It's a cool place in the video game.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's super cool. And I hate that. And this is where it starts. The shitty fan service starts here. And that there's a super cool set piece in Jedi Fallen Order where, you know, you strike the window and then Vader gets sort of like washed away with like the sea and all like this water pressure. And they fucking steal it bar for bar in the same place.
They stole their whole fucking flow.
Exactly. Drake, Kenobi, straight up. Like, it's just so not subtle, and it sucks because, like, again, and I've been fucking tooting this horn for the last 6 years or whatever. But when they said new canon, everything's connected, and you're like, fucking sign me up. And then it's like, oh, sorry, we dropped the ball there. Won't happen again. And we dropped the ball here, and now it's like all they do is fucking break canon and then have to fix it. And when they go back to fix it, they break more canon. And it's just to a point where it's like, just don't say everything's canon, because clearly there's a fucking hierarchy of live action, then animated shows, then maybe video games, and then novels. Like, none of this shit is connected at all. Because if it was, you wouldn't have the same fucking action set pieces taking place again and again and again. Like, it's not like a Jedi invades Fort Inquisitorus and breaks the fucking window and floods the place, and you go, maybe we should fucking put some blast doors in place so this doesn't happen again. Exactly. And then 5 years later, the exact same thing fucking happens, or whatever the fucking timeline. I don't know. I'm ranting. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just stupid to me.
See, all right, and like I'll get to this later on, but like, it's been established in both Legends and canon that like Obi-Wan sucked with the Force and like combat Force abilities. Like, yeah, he was a Jedi Guardian, which is like or the combat side, but like his nickname was the Negotiator. That's because he was ass with the Force. like he was like good with like mind tricks and stuff like that. But like it's been stated like since episode 1 that like he's always struggled with like beyond a simple Force push and pull and stuff, right? And like he somehow, and like I'll get to this later on, especially in episode 6, but he just like crushes the windows and doors and like the bulkheads and stuff and causes the flood. And I was like how? Like it's just like infuriating to see that like he suddenly gets like these superpowers that somehow dramatically increase, which results in him doing some Dragon Ball Z power up Force explosion thing on episode 6.
Yeah.
But
I think it's one of those things that I feel as though it would be an easy thing to adhere to, and that's these creeping power levels, right? Because we see, like you mentioned, Dragon Ball Z. This is the prime example of every time there's a new bad guy, everybody gets a little bit stronger and stronger and stronger, and to the point where it's like the guys that we're fighting now are literal gods. But that's the natural progression. I wouldn't say natural, but that's the progression of like a shonen show like that. And I feel like in Star Wars, there was very much this through line in the prequels of like Jedi are around this powerful. Some of them have like intricate Force powers, but you know, a Force push and a Force pull is like that's as powerful as it gets, kind of thing. Force lightning is a dark side thing, whatever. But then like I remember when fucking what's it called? Force Unleashed came out, and people were losing their minds at the fact that this kid pulled down a Star Destroyer, which admittedly is insane. That's dumb. But
cool as fuck, though.
Like episode 5, we see him like Vader just grab a ship out of the sky. We see Rey do a similar thing in episode 9, and it's just like this. Okay, if Vader could do this then like why didn't everybody learn? Like why can't everybody do this? Like why is it just certain people who are just they have more midichlorians? I don't know, but it's just weird that like it's never explained.
Well, like I mean, like to that end, like prequels, yes, everybody's stronger with the Force because that's like the High Republic era, like despite it being the declining days. But like it definitely seems like when Disney's canon, like Force powers have been like cut down dramatically compared to Legends. But then you have like somebody just like Obi-Wan just like crush a bulkhead and stuff like that after years. Like they spent like 3 episodes showing how cut off he's been from the Force and he's no longer feeling it. But just I don't know, it was kind of whack.
Yeah. Sorry, Taleb, what were your thoughts on episode 4?
Honestly, you guys are just doing all the talking for me. Like I just agree with everything you're saying.
I have a couple more points. But.
Yeah, no, it was episode 4 was like you said about shit just repeating itself. If you think about it from like I get it's entertainment, but I think what I like about the prequels is that it like sets like a standard and of almost like realism and consistency in the world. Shit just like constantly happening because it's like entertainment kind of breaks that immersion for me.
Right.
Especially like when it's just a straight rip from like a cartoon or a video game. I think it's just really just weird.
Yeah, like you could have like and I think that's like the frustrating thing. Is that you literally have the whole fucking galaxy where you can just make planets up as you see fit.
Yeah.
And you keep going back to old places just to do the same set pieces again. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Like the decision making is very odd. Like
It's like if the final battle of this series was Obi-Wan and Anakin back on Mustafar, it'd be like, okay, they were just fighting where Palpatine and Yoda fought in episode 3, like in the Senate chambers. Like it's just like we've seen this already. We have a whole galaxy to play with here, and every single Star Wars movie has to go back to fucking Tatooine for some reason. I don't know.
Let's see. One of the other things that like really infuriated me about episode 4 was like that's the Fortress Inquisitorius, like the secret like fortress worlds, and like you just like know that everybody who's there is definitely like have been like picked to be there. Like it's not like your average stormtroopers, Imperial officers and stuff, right? And
I know where this is going.
Exactly, yes. So and it's been established in canon, like the equipment that the stormtroopers have, like the plastoids, like armor plating and stuff like that. But somehow Tala just slaps one across the face and sends him stumbling. Like,
Oh yeah.
and
This
just
is
like,
one of my biggest beefs
I
with
remember
Star
that.
Wars in general.
like she would break her hand on it, and you'd just
Yeah.
be like, Lamau, okay. Like, and it just devalues like the terror that is like the stormtroopers, and like
yeah,
it's just like kind of annoying. And like I was mentioning before we got started to Matt that we need a series on the stormtroopers to show like how like menacing they are, just like systematically and stuff. Because
Mm.
it's just like every like you have like so much like canon legends, like materials like explaining how terrifying they are and like how advanced their equipment are and stuff. But then like they just get like literally smacked around.
and I think it's a Star Wars trope, right? Stormtroopers never hit anything, and they're pretty weak. But at the same time, then it really does take away from the threat of the Empire
Yeah,
when the
exactly.
only scary person is Vader or Palpatine, and everyone else is just kind of like a bumbling idiot. It really takes away like the whole fear aspect. And I could understand if it's like George Lucas initially was going for like a serial cartoon version of like Nazi Germany, right?
Mhm.
I can get that perspective, but as we move into like these sort of hard edge Star Wars properties or trying to be like more grim dark, especially in this time, like the rise of the Empire, like I just don't see the need for stormtroopers to be cannon fodder. Like it'd make more sense to me that you see like you're saying, Will, it's not even that they're advanced or well trained. It's just the sheer amount of them is overwhelming.
Exactly.
Uh,
And that's why like you said, like obviously they're based off of like Nazis, but like the terrifying thing is that there's a whole galaxy full of them. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
and like that's the major difference between our world's version is that there's like a nigh unlimited amount. And like despite them like the stormtrooper corps being just a separate part of their like the galactic army, really.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of whack. Like I just like really struggle to see how just like a baseline human with no powers or anything can just like smack someone like that and just
Yeah.
get away without getting shot as well. Like I
Yeah.
know like it's a Disney thing, it's just kids show and stuff, but it's just
Yeah,
kind
but
of
I think that's kind of what Taleb you were saying, where it's like the prequel sort of established this like realism to things, right? Especially like when you think about like I am way more terrified of a clone trooper than a stormtrooper because
Mhm.
a stormtrooper is just a dude, and a clone trooper is like this perfect
Red.
genetic
Yeah.
copy of the most dangerous bounty hunter ever. Like that's terrifying. And so clone troopers versus like droids who are literally mindless killing machines, like that's scary to be in between those two things. But when you like you say, Will, when you can slap a stormtrooper in the face and that's it, they're knocked out, and
And
then
like she
somebody comes and drags their body away so you can continue the scene. Like, you know,
yeah. And like the thing is too is that it's also been established in canon that basically like blaster pistols don't work on them because like that's kind of what they're meant for. Like the whole point of the stormtroopers is put down insurrections and rebellions and stuff. So like lower end like weapons and stuff like that can stop that. And I mean, and
yeah,
she just like uppercuts and shoots him, then runs with her back to them, and like they're just laying there. I was kind of choked.
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of the action choreography was kind of like when it would come on, I'd just sort of be like, all right,
Yeah,
like that happened, I guess.
definitely. Also, one more thing about this the stormtroopers is another like very like inconsistent thing that just blatantly happens. Obi-Wan smacking his lightsaber and it just bounced off of him. And then,
Yes. That should cut him in
I
half.
don't know if you guys remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, what like and to your point, Will, in canon, like the plastoid armor, like it's terrible armor. It's and because there's so many stormtroopers, because they've annexed all these fucking planets and galaxies or whatever, they're just making the cheapest fucking shit they can make. So yeah, I get it. Like it doesn't really their armor doesn't really do much, but yeah, exactly. Like why in some instances can a director go, yeah, at this point it's actually going to bounce off, and
Like a
and
baseball
nobody's
bat.
Like, how come nobody's there on set being like, you can't do that? That goes against the things we've been writing for 40 years. That makes no sense.
You can't do that.
But somehow
Yeah.
an electrical fence cuts him in half. But
Like if they're wearing the armor that we see the fucking with Praetorian guards or whatever, we know that like deflects. Like they set that up in that scene, no words at all. You just see it happen. Oh, it's red armor. It's different, you know. But
Yeah.
you can't have him chop a stormtrooper in half here, and then the other time it deflect like with no explanation. I don't know. It's bizarre. And to that point too, Obi-Wan just starts murdering people. Like I get like if you're balancing stormtroopers versus Princess Leia, like obviously you go with Leia, but like he just comes from this point where like he's not fighting anyone, and then all of a sudden he's just like murking stormtroopers in the dark. I was just like, this is a bizarre character choice.
I think that's like a very good point, because it kind of like makes you question where Kenobi's mentality is even at, and where his morality is at throughout the whole show.
Exactly. Yeah.
I haven't really like gotten anything about his actual mental state other than just like seeing him have a bad dream of like Anakin pod racing, which he wasn't there for. So it's like what like
Oh yeah.
get some of that.
Yeah, he was with the ship, wasn't he?
we watched on Galactic Sports Net.
Yeah, on the holonet. Yeah, I don't know. Also, like I would like obviously Obi-Wan has taken lives before. I think we see that in the Clone Wars, but the majority of things he's fought have been droids, right? So I would have liked to see like after 10 years of not fighting anyone, not even your shitty boss at your job or whatever, like him having to like actually kill somebody, I thought would have more of an effect on him. And he just doesn't seem phased by it at all. I don't know. Like you say, Taleb, it's just like I just don't understand his motivations through it. Like, I don't know. It was just strange to me.
It's like that's such a deep story to like that's such a deep layer to like that you could get into as a writer. It's just so many missed opportunities and things almost going all the way and then just falling completely flat for me. I think that's how I would describe most of like this watch. It's just like, and now we have to deal with like this being canon.
Yeah. Okay. My head's in the same place because I was saying to Will before we started recording here, my general feeling is just like this was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like I remember it must have been maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where there was an announcement that there's going to be an Obi-Wan movie. And people like, because people know I'm a big Star Wars fan, hit me up like, oh, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I remember just being like, I really don't need to see this. Like, there's enough subtext in A New Hope and what happens in Revenge of the Sith that those things link pretty well to me. Especially when you compare, their last fight being Moose. Like, what did this change? Like, their last fight, Obi-Wan wins because Anakin gets overzealous and thinks he's defeated him or thinks he can overpower him. Obi-Wan puts him in his place and leaves him there and says, "You're not the man who I thought you were." That's literally the same. It's the same thing. Like, so this changes nothing. Like, at that point on Mustafar, he says, like, "You were my brother. I loved you." Those things are talking in the past tense. You were my brother. I loved you. Meaning I don't anymore because you've revealed yourself to me as not being that person I thought you were. And what's the difference between what he says at the end of episode or chapter 6 of the show? It's like, okay, then my friend is actually dead. And throughout this series, they don't set up what we had talked about when we saw the trailer, that desire of Obi-Wan to want to go back and write it. Like, maybe Anakin's still in there, maybe I can still save him. That's not a narrative in this show at all.
Yeah.
At all. Like, so it's just we just get a rehash of the Battle of Heroes, where we're like, there's no change in mentality. Vader's still, I hate you, and he's still, yeah, man, you're not as cool as I thought you were. That's it.
Yeah, and like, and to that end, like with episode or chapter 5, like we kind of see that where he basically like convinces Reva to like he he stirs up like the conflict between Riva and the Inquisitors, and
Mhm.
like we don't see him like have any desire to like kind of save Anakin.
Yeah.
Which was like kind of where he's like, yo, like I'll make them fight each other, and just like we won't have to deal with this, and hopefully she kills him. But then, like chapter 6, he's like, man, I'm sorry, I'm trying to save you. And it's like, well, you like convince someone to like kill him, like, oh.
Yeah.
It's funny because at first I thought whole Leia being kidnapped was kind of like gonna be used as a tool to move the story and play with Kenobi's motivations for what he really wants or what he
Mhm.
really wants to accomplish or how he needs to grow or whatever it would be. But it turns out that he literally like that was just the whole plot. It was
Yeah.
just him saving Leia. And there was really it wasn't deeper than that at all.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
There's just too much waste of time, and like that's why like I wasn't a fan of chapter 5 either, because like I felt like these like by going into detail with Riva's character, it kind of ruined her character. Like,
okay, so I this is where I actually disagree with you. I hated Riva's character through the first 3 episodes. I was like, this is overacted. Their motivations are so baseline that like I don't even, and obviously like the first scene of the show, we have like a little bit of an allusion to where she may come from. And then, you know, we get hints to that with the Grand Inquisitor and their interactions. But I don't know, it's just so bad, the first 3 episodes. And I felt like episodes 4, 5, and 6, or maybe at least 5 and 6, to me actually redeem the character a little bit, because the place where we leave her in episode 6, I thought is actually kind of cool. Like, I don't need to see a Riva spin-off comic or something like that, but I wouldn't be mad if there was one. Like maybe she tries to right some of her wrongs as an Inquisitor by helping the rebellion in some way, and then comes to a noble end or something. And I like how, you know, she chooses not to kill Luke, which was also a dumb subplot. It was really stupid,
completely unnecessary.
Yeah. I just don't understand that choice. But anyways, the fact that she doesn't, you know, Obi-Wan says to her, like, no, you chose not to become him. You're not the same, you know, whatever. They have a nice moment. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But in episode 5, like, maybe I'm being a little bit too nitpicky, but she shows up with a fucking squad of stormtroopers and starts blasting the door with this fucking cannon. And then Obi-Wan's like, hey, come talk to me. And that's when she's like, oh yeah, I could really just cut this door in half. Like, you didn't fucking think of that the whole time? Like, you're a fucking force wielder. Like, you got a lightsaber. Like, that wasn't your first thought. Oh, there's a door here, I should cut it in half. You know what I mean? They just stand there and blast the fucking wall for like 15 minutes.
Especially when it was like established in the opening scene of the Phantom Menace that like that's possible.
Yeah. like if you're a Jedi trained at the
difficult.
temple, you're probably aware that this is a thing.
Yeah, and it just devalues the power of lightsabers again. See, my gripe about chapter 5 was that they kept Riva alive. Like, it just, like, number one, how do you survive a lightsaber to the stomach or a torso as a child?
Because we get confirmation at the end of episode 6 that you absolutely don't, because here's fucking Qui-Gon Jinn, the one other guy who's been stabbed in the stomach with a lightsaber.
Yeah, he's just like absolutely like upset. He's like, man, I'm
the
only one who couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of annoying. But and then so like I honestly I thought she was actually dead at the end of chapter 5.
I thought so too, yeah.
I like when she's just like laying there with the communicator right beside her. Like, I was convinced that she was dead. Like, I was like, man, there's no way that she's going to like they're gonna like bring her back. Like, I thought they were just gonna leave her there after they did the whole switcheroo with the Grand Inquisitor.
Oh, it was dumb too.
So much for the elaborate clone idea theory.
Yeah, man. Okay, I don't want to get too much in my head about this, but What would you guys have rather seen? My elaborate clone theory or what the fuck happened on screen there? Because I know my answer.
Clone theory.
I would have seen him come back in chapter 3. I just don't understand why those two would have to plot and to like mess around with their head. I just don't see the point because they're just
Yeah. What was
like,
the point?
she's like her character is like a fly on the wall compared to Vader and the Grand Inquisitor. It was just kind of goofy, like in terms of like power and stuff like that, which we obviously saw with Vader when he's doing his Force kung fu.
Yeah. So that was a cool action set, I guess. Like to just, and I think it's cool that like now in at this point in filmmaking, we can actually show how powerful Vader is in a subtle way. Like I think him gripping a ship out of the sky is a little too over the top for me, but being able to see like even though he's slow because he's fucking an android, he's using the Force to out duel his opponents. I think it's very like elegant. So I did enjoy that set piece, but I don't know. It's just it's just like it's like everybody who ever grew up liking Darth Vader gets the opportunity to work on Star Wars and they're like, how can I make it the coolest fucking thing? And it's like, please don't. Please just fucking chill for a minute.
No cap. Like, yeah.
I mean, like Vader's just to the point. It's been established in so much material, canon as well, that like Vader just would have like pulled out his own saber and just cut her in half with like zero effort, but instead he had to play a mind game with her, and it was kind of like what was the point? Like which when we see in later like in the original trilogy where he just force chokes someone like the Imperial Navy officers, like just when he's upset, like
like you've outlived your usefulness, die, like and okay, at the end of episode 6 we see him, he's like lost his cool, we're going to track down Kenobi to the ends of the earth type fucking thing, and then the Emperor kind of puts him in his place. Those two characters are not the same. Like him could like making this elaborate ruse to get Reva to find Kenobi by thinking she's killed the Grand Inquisitor, blah blah blah, and this guy who like is so like singly focused on fighting Kenobi are not the same character. And it's weird that like over the course of like 2 episodes that changes so drastically. Like obviously he's emotionally like vulnerable after what happened, but like it's psychopath. It's just not the same fucking, like I don't know, like it was like if it was the Grand Inquisitor who created that elaborate ruse or whatever, sure, but then make that part of his character line, not Vader's. Like it's just a little bit strange to me that like Vader starts in a certain place at the beginning of the series and then changes like a lot, even though he's like saying that I am who I am now and you can't change me. But that's like doing it.
Like the end of chapter 4 when he's like when he rolls up to the fortress and he's like, what has gone on here?
Yeah.
And like he's about to kill Reva and she's like, actually I put a tracker in the droid. And he's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like he just would have like snapped her neck without having to move. Like
yeah. I don't know, it's just weird because it's like they're sacrificing character for storytelling, but the story, like you said, Taleb, is so basic that it's like I don't need to see this.
Yeah.
Let's go full on episode 6 though. What were you guys thoughts on it as a whole?
Taleb, you go.
I'm not gonna lie, like I'm just gonna say I didn't hate it, but I know it could be better. There are a couple parts that made me cringe, but
do tell.
Okay, I'm just like when Obi-Wan like lifted all those rocks and just like T-posed, I thought it was whatever. Like I don't know. Maybe it was the editing. Yeah, I don't know. It was a little cringe. I don't know how I feel yet about. Are we just going full on or?
Yeah. Go full on.
I don't know how I feel about Vader's mask getting cut again, the same way as in Rebels.
Why not just get a new mask after that?
Thank you.
Like, why would you keep using the same one?
I don't need to see it again.
Like we know it's a bad mask. Just get a different style. But
Yeah, it's like they're just pulling shit out their ass or out of every like piece of Star Wars, beloved Star Wars content just to get like a reaction out of the fans.
Okay, that's my problem. Is what you just said. Is I don't feel like the season finale of episode or of season 2 of Rebels is beloved Star Wars content. It's very niche. Like there's only a certain amount of Star Wars fans who've actually seen that. So for me, what it feels like is they go, okay, so we have Darth Vader. He's going to see somebody from his past. What would that be like? And somebody there goes, well, we have seen him do it before. We've seen him, and they're like, okay,
But
let's
that was
see
on the
that.
left side.
Yeah. And then they just fucking mirror the fucking shot and then shoot it in live action. It's just like
So
bogus.
what do you think their actual creative process for that is? Like what do you think their actual like creative process is for like taking, do you think they're like belittling these like niche things and trying to like ripping them, or like
I think they are unintentionally. So it's one of, okay, so for Fortress Inquisitoris, I think that's a direct ripoff. I think that's, you see this thing in the video game. Not many people play the video game.
Even the way he enters in, like swims in, is what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Like bar for bar, like
ignorant
fucking float.
Or having Vader's mask get chopped in half and having Anakin and Vader, their voices like competing against each other to speak to somebody from their past who knows both versions of this person is a good story beat. It is. The problem is we've seen it before. Yeah. So I think like, the writer or directors, they go, I would like to do this thing. And somebody there goes, well, we have seen it before. And the producer goes, well, what did we see it in? And they go, oh, this animated show. And they go, no one's seen that. Let's just fucking do it.
I think they do it like they copied a lot of these set pieces so that people are more inclined to go look at that other stuff. Like,
I think they don't fucking care about Rebels. I don't think they care.
I mean, like with like the Fortress Inquisitoris, like they could be like, hey, yeah, also EA developed this video game in which you go to this planet and then like kind of like subtly advertising, which I mean, it's Disney. I wouldn't put it.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
I think it's lazy rating, ignorance. It just like, yeah.
What have they done?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like, I think it could be all three of these things. And for me, bottom line, it's unacceptable because this is how you lose diehard Star Wars fans. If I have to watch this, it's the same as like, this is why people were so split on Force Awakens, because it's the fucking same as A New Hope. And the only redeeming thing about it is that so was Phantom Menace. So then you get people who go, no, man, they're not copying themselves. It's ring theory. It's Star Wars storytelling. It's called the ring theory. It starts and ends. Shut the fuck up. No one has a fucking imagination anymore. It can't think of new Star Wars concepts. Stop making them. Stop it. Cut the shit, man. Or go to a totally different timeline. But I'm sick of seeing the same fucking set pieces with the same storylines with like, even the sequel trilogy. It's like the same fucking thing as it was in the original trilogy. And it's just laziness because
I see with regard to the sequels, I think they copied like the original trilogy, because all the directors and producers were old enough to remember when that was released.
Mm-hmm.
And they also remember the backlash when Lucas tried to do something new with the prequels. So they were like, rather than risking like all these nerds freaking out like us, we'll just like do something that the general public movie fans would know.
And that's the nail, right? Let's do a thing that we know is proven. We know a guy can swim down to this fucking underwater base and cut the windows and there'll be a cool thing. We know if we slash Vader, his voice modulator goes weird. Like, we know these things. So let's show the casual, like the general audience, these things because they probably haven't seen them before. But for people like us who have consumed all that content prior to, it's like, well, we're really getting those same things again, like for the second or third time. It's kind of like, I'm not going to keep watching Star Wars if you're just going to keep giving me the same shit over and over. Like, I've seen it. It was better the first time. You know what I mean?
It honestly felt like I was watching Star Wars on ice.
Oh, no.
The musical.
Oh, man.
Literally, it felt like just like a poor adaptation of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I thought it was more of like an adaptation of like a Power Rangers movie or something.
Oh, oh man,
Like,
that is
that,
not good.
but that would be an insult to a Power Rangers movie, right? No, but like because I guess we could just jump into episode chapter 6. Like
Yeah.
when Reva pulls up on Tatooine, which somehow she gets there and miraculously heals. Like despite like she's obviously looks a little bit wounded and haggard and stuff, but that fight with the Lars family was unnecessary and completely goofy. Like,
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
you're telling me that like basically a Sith assassin can't just like force pull Owen just enough, like even though she's like her force combat abilities have been established to be like kind of sucky, but like she just like couldn't pull him like quickly, just like yank him off his balance or something and just cut him in half. Like not to mention like I don't know, like I couldn't tell if Luke saw Reva at all during that fight, but like that would be absolutely traumatic for him.
I was actually paying close attention to this because I was like, if Owen mentions to him at all that there's somebody here who would trigger some sort of questioning for him, I'm going to be pissed off. So to their credit, they say the Sand people are hunting, and then he never actually sees her without her hood on, and he never sees the lightsaber.
But he hears it and stuff like that. And
yeah.
And like it was also kind of weird because like it seemed like the actor who was playing would have been like old enough to kind of like remember that, you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's not just like a thing you don't remember from your childhood. You're like 10 years old. It'd probably be a pretty distinct.
Yeah, like that would be instant therapy.
And then you got force pulled off a cliff.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I just thought all of that was unnecessary. What I would have really liked to see if they were I to show Luke in the series and I was writing it, was just have episode 1 like Obi-Wan like fighting off like Tusken Raiders without the family even knowing about it.
Right.
Like,
and then if they do that, then it sets up, if you have something that they did similar to what they did in episode 1 here, where Owen's telling him like, we don't need you and stuff. And Ben's like, well, he can't say anything because if he says anything, then he doesn't want, you know what I mean?
And
like the irony of it all.
And just like having him interact, I really dislike, because it just kind of like undermines like Obi-Wan's like sacrifice and stuff like that. Because like if had like Luke just been like completely clueless and the Lars family clueless to what's going on and all these threats, like then it
makes it a little bit more tragic.
Because like it makes Obi-Wan's life more tragic and like his sacrifice even bigger. And also it would have done a better job like showing like how much important Luke was and like to the whole storyline of like being the new hope, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like goofy, but at least we got to hear him say hello there.
Yeah, that was something. Like I kind of smiled at it. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. But I don't know. I did like his outfit though. Like Ben's outfit. He's like, it's based off like this Obi-Wan mythos figure, like where he's got like his Clone Wars gauntlets on still. I don't know. I thought that was sick with the goggles. So that was cool to see that actually on screen. Like I think again, like I just didn't feel like any of this was necessary because nothing changes by us knowing this. I'll say the one thing though that I will take away from this and be like, that's pretty cool, is the fact that Leia names her son Ben and kind of has like this reverence for Obi-Wan. That's pretty cool to me, I guess. Like it's not just like a weird space wizard you saw die once in a space station. It's a little bit more deep than that now.
I never thought of that. That's a good point.
But it still does kind of make episode 4 weird for me because Obi-Wan, long ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Like the prequels did enough to ruin that quote. That's not even true. Like Obi-Wan never served Bail Organa in the Clone Wars.
Served the Republic.
Sure, but like, okay, so like we'll just forget about that. But then like it wasn't like, hey, remember me from 9 years ago? Like,
No.
yeah, I need your help again. It's like,
Can I say the weirdest thing that happened that episode
yeah.
was when after Leia was upset about Obi-Wan leaving her to go
Mhm.
fight Vader. So basically at that point, she's very upset he's leaving, comes to terms with it. You could pretty much assume that she thinks he's gonna die or something, or it's the last time she's gonna see him. They end up seeing each other again, and the first thing she says was Lola and just runs to the fucking
Yeah.
droid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Like,
was weird.
I kind of wish that like he never used his, like he would have given her like a completely new fake name.
Just Ben. If it was just Ben the whole time, that would be so much better. That would
Mhm.
make me feel a lot better about her naming her son Ben.
Because
Like-
she just wouldn't recognize him when he's obviously older due to the like Tatooine's weather and the Force use and all that stuff.
And okay, you know that scene right after fucking he dies in the Death Star, and Luke's all sad about it, and she's like comforting him, but she's not sad about it. Like,
Who is that weird old man?
yeah, why are you crying about that old man, kid? Like, we got stuff to do. Like, I don't know, it just makes it weird to me. Just
Speaking of weird old men in the deserts, how about Qui-Gon pulling up to the after party?
oh man, I hated this. I fucking hated it. Oh my god, dude, every part about it was awful. The visuals of it were terrible. Like he just slowly shows up and he goes, hey, it's been a while. What the fuck? Like the perfect time for him to show up would have been when Obi-Wan was sitting in that room alone on the ship going like, I have to face the master. And
Or
then
when
you
he's
just
being
hear his
crushed
voice.
by the rocks.
Yeah, yes. Like a fucking Spider-Man homecoming scene. Like he's being crushed by the rocks and he's like, I can't do it. Like you just hear the voice of Liam Neeson being like, whatever the fuck, the Force will be with you always. Go get him, champ, or whatever. Or when he's on the ship, like they just sound like he's just, he appears and he's sitting next to him. Something like that to be like, you got to go and do what you have to do. Not, I've always been around. I've been watching you. You done good, man. You just couldn't see me. I'm here though. I am here. It's fucking so silly, man.
Space version of Don Toliver, just instrumentals. Pulls up.
Oh my god. I pulled up.
Well, like, yeah, like I agree. Like it would have been cool, or even if you just hear like a sound bite where he's just like he's too far gone, like kill him. Like
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, just some sort of conversation that lets Obi-Wan know it's okay for him to confront Vader and not Anakin.
which is like consistent with the original trilogy when he tells Luke that like Vader's too far gone, kill him. Like,
yeah,
even though I had multiple chances to kill him, at least 2 by now to kill him. But
yeah. Like the fact that Obi-Wan's biggest regret in his whole life should be failing Anakin, and his next second biggest regret is not killing him when he had the chance, so that this genocidal maniac doesn't kill millions of people trying to find you. And the second time, 10 years later, when you're like, I get a second chance at this, you're like, see you later, Darth. What? This guy's gonna go kill thousands of people. Do something, man. Do something. You're a Jedi. He can't even breathe. Like, that was so stupid, man. Oh my god. Fuck. Fuck me, man. I convinced myself I didn't hate episode 6, and I'm wrong. I do. I absolutely do. What a fucking show. God.
You guys hear about them like remaking the 6th episode?
No. What's that about?
They're Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are gonna take creative control and re-edit, add new scenes, and add John Williams' original score that he had scored for the duel. This
I've seen like I've seen like edits on YouTube of like that fight.
Yeah.
On the planet. I don't even know what planet it was, but I hated the setting because you couldn't see anything.
Yeah. Yeah, but pretty cool news.
That is cool news.
Yeah.
I will say the visuals of that fight scene were cool. Like when Vader does get his mask sliced, there's like, you can see the reflection of the blue lightsaber as he's speaking as Anakin, and then it switches over to his red lightsaber, and now he's, speaking as Vader. I thought that was like fun. I don't know.
I,
Loved it, though.
I didn't like how we saw like Obi-Wan get like his lightsaber form be like super aggressive. That's what like I found to be like inconsistent because he's like completely like ganking Anakin after he gets out of the rocks, but then like he's just like sad because he's like, I wanted to save you, but then like you were like fighting with like just as much aggression as he was, so it was kind of like weird.
Yeah, very out of character, right? Like
Which is like when it's been established in canon mostly that
it's
he's
been
like,
established in this show in that flashback scene.
like he's like the master of the defensive form, and like
Mhm.
Mace Windu says it in the Clone Wars how many times, and like, but then he's just using it to be like he's like fighting like Anakin almost. Like that's what it seemed like.
Yeah. Which I guess is cool, but like I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's just there's too much, like if you have to read into it that much and those things aren't like kind of like clear. I guess it may be just me trying to justify why it isn't as bad as I think it is or feel it is. I don't know, man. Anyway, one last thing I wanted to talk about, the Obi-Wan throwing rocks thing. Taleb, you said that was cringe.
Yeah.
It's one of those things to me that like is that power scale thing. Like we've never seen like, okay, so Clone Wars is a little bit ridiculous. It's an animated show. We see them do things that they don't ever do again in canon. One of those ones is there's a series where they're on Geonosis trying to shut down some droid factories, and they jump from like 100 feet in the air and just use the force to like soften their landing, and we never see it ever again in any canon.
Is that the Gendy Tarkovsky one, like the 2D one?
No. This is in actual Clone Wars. Yeah.
Okay. Battle of Geonosis Part 2.
Yeah. So yeah, Clone Wars is a little bit ridiculous, and we in canon we know that the Force sometimes people use it in strange, very powerful ways, and then we never see it again. That's just the thing. Astral projection, Force stuff, whatever. But when it's the sequel trilogy, that kind of makes more sense to me because we're building on established Force powers, like World Between Worlds between Rey and Kylo. That kind of makes sense to me because it's like, okay, we can see the progression of people discovering how the Force works and then utilizing it in different ways. Fine. But when we go back in time and you see Obi-Wan can split rocks into 1,000 pieces and just like create like a hailstorm, it's like some D&D shit, and it's like it just doesn't really feel like Star Wars to me. It felt like watching Avatar when he's fighting the Fire Lord and he's like all the elements are swirling around him. That's what the scene looked like.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was cool, like, but I don't know, it looked a little strange, did look a little cringe with the T-pose for sure. And then it was just like, we'll never see this again, so why put it in a past thing? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And
I
like
don't know.
Again, it's just inconsistent, like how they spend five episodes showing how cut off he's been and stuff, and then like I mean like Clone Wars was like the height of his power, like
Yeah.
in terms of like physical prowess. Like he was a younger dude, he was one of the high generals of the Republic, like
Jedi Master.
and like hasn't like turned on his lightsaber in like 10 years, but
they
do a few days later.
They do one scene where he's like trapped under the rocks where like he's flashing to like Luke and Leia, and I interpreted that as like this is him turning back on the power because he knows what's at stake, so he's like balls to the wall type thing, which is fine.
Moment.
Yeah, his literal come to Jesus moment. T-pose fucking rock shower. Apollo. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess let's just get you guys' overall general thoughts and score, what you thought about this series. where you rank it amongst other Disney Plus series. We'll go from there. We'll start with you, Will.
I would probably put it second last after Boba Fett.
Whoa.
Yeah, I hated Book of Boba Fett like with a passion.
Wow.
And then probably season 1 of Mandalorian, and then season 2 at the top. But that's honestly, I had like such high expectations, like every single episode, because like it was released in our region, like it was available Tuesday, or I guess technically Wednesday at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So like I stayed up every Tuesday night to watch it, and like each time I was like, what the fuck? Like I was just like exhausted the next day, and it was just like, was that worth it? Don't worry, it's gonna get better next episode. And it just kind of didn't.
Just never did. Yeah.
So that definitely skewed my opinion on it.
What about you, Taleb?
I think they broke too much lore. I'm usually not a lore master, but
Lord.
Well, here you are.
when it comes to that much lore breaking, like even in just the last two episodes, plus with like all the creative decisions, I think that's what irked me the most. Just the blatant copying, laziness. Dude, I don't know, that shit pissed me off. Like even just like listening to you guys talk about it and me just like thinking, it just pissed me off. I would say it's like I put Book of Boba Fett over it.
Oh wow.
Definitely Mando 1 and 2. I think they just set the bar too high for me in terms of Star Wars content.
Yeah.
Are we talking about just live action? Like in terms of live action, yeah, Book of Boba, or sorry, Mando season 1 and 2 for sure. I agree. One of like my top 2.
Yeah.
I would honestly rate it like a 4 out of 10, maybe.
Woof.
I don't know, just like plus with all the leaks, knowing that there's like John Williams score that was cut, knowing that like that Vader Obi-Wan fight was like cut in half, just all that shit.
Oh, I didn't even know about any of that.
Yes, just
yeah.
With that fight, it should have just happened. Like that should have been half the episode, was that those two fighting. Like I didn't like having them swap between.
Yeah,
it just kind of like it just felt like it like undermined, like it was just like poor editing decision.
It's going back to the shit we've seen before. It's episode literally they're 3. Trying to do Battle of the Heroes again, and it's like you're intercutting between Vader and Obi-Wan, and then like the Lars family home. Like it's just so, I don't know. I'm with you. I think, and you know what's the unfortunate thing is that when Mando and Mando 2 came out, I was pretty high on them. And since they've come out, my interest and also my appreciation of them has waned. I feel like Book of Boba Fett's a little bit responsible for that. I like, it just feels like the same thing we've been saying since episode 8. There's no creative directing force. And I know Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are being championed as that, but I just feel like there's no through lines in Star Wars anymore. And I don't think we've had that since the prequels. Right. Like I was saying last time we did this, Rogue One to me is the most, start to finish, the best thing that's been released since the Disney takeover. Maybe Rebels, I would say as well, but it's a different medium for sure. But I don't know, like in a lot of ways, I feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi is the best show Disney Plus has made, because I feel like Mando has the same issues as, we're going back to the well. We're getting these characters. Yeah, we're getting these characters. We're getting these scenarios we've seen in other mediums. It's just kind of, we're like, Mando's even a character that exists only because we weren't able to do Boba Fett. You know what I mean? It just feels like we're just doing things because, like, I don't know, because we know they're going to be successful, opposed to we know they're going to be good stories. And I'm not emotionally invested in Grogu. But the most interesting parts of Mandalorian to me have been being able to see Ahsoka again, which I think speaks volumes to Rebels and Clone Wars. And so I don't know where I'd rank any of these Disney Plus shows. I think if you look at something like fucking Moon Knight, which for me is perfect through and through, is like one of the best storytelling series that's come out in like a long time, especially in the Marvel universe. And that's saying a lot for me. And compare something like that to fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's night and day, man. Like those are on two different pars.
Sun and moon.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I'm with you, Taleb. I'll probably give this series like a 5 out of 10 because yes, there are cool set pieces. Yes, there are great visuals, but if you've consumed any type of Star Wars, you've seen them before, and nothing here is pushing the envelope.
Seen them better in like 2004.
Yeah, straight up. And I think I have to, as a Star Wars fan, just be okay with the fact that Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back are going to be the pinnacle for me, and nothing's going to top those things. So
I agree.
yeah. Anyway, I think that'll do it for us. This has been a depressing review of fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What are we even doing here, man?
I know, man. We got to stop doing these. We're just getting enemies. Yeah, you can check out our episodes 1 through 3 review. Hopefully you did that before you watch this. You can check out our reviews of Boba Fett, and we've done some episodes about Star Wars and music and Star Wars and all about that stuff. So, Taylor, where can people find you online?
Taleb Shukair.
Right on.
Yeah.
And you can find Will and I here on the Lords of Lore. As always, I'm Matt.
I'm Will.
Taleb.
We are the Lords of Lore.
Pull up, hop out at the after party. Qui-Gon.
With Qui-Gon.